microphone. I think my microphone's better than what it normally is. Everybody complains about my microphone, and I'm sorry about that. I'm getting a new office soon, so I'm moving in the middle of kind of moving into a new office, and in my new office, I will have way better audio stuff. So that's something to look forward to. Thank you. Okay, test the microphone. Checking the microphone. 1, 2, 3. What up, Blunder Gang? I hope my microphone is a little bit better for the time being. I need to get a new one. I'm in the process of moving into a new office, and yeah, so hopefully that stuff will, kind of happen soon. But in the meantime, bear with me if my audio is not the greatest. What else? So, today, I want to share with my family, my Blender fam, a little bit of a technique that I've been working on to create something like this. And I don't know. I think that this is valuable. I think a lot of people would probably want to know how to do this. And so I want to show you how to do that. At least try to kind of recreate it again from scratch. This took a while to make and a lot of kind of fine tuning. But what I'm going to try to do here really quickly is just kind of showcase like the basic premises behind it, and then people will be able to recreate it and fine tune it to their liking. So that's the plan. All right, let me go here to Blender, and now that I'm in Blender, we are going to hit A and select everything, and then X to delete it. I'll hit 7 to go to top view, just so I can see the curve that I import or kind of add to our scene. And so this is going to be kind of what our effect is built on. It's going to be built on this curve. And that's nice because afterwards you can make a different curve and apply the effect to it, or you could come in here and manipulate this curve, and the effect is still going to work, and it's going to respect the shape of the curve. So yeah, so we have our curve, and we want to go into Geometry Node Editor. All right, so from here we're going to apply a new geometry node setup to our curve. And yeah, so this I don't know, I'm going to try to kind of just get the gist of it really quickly here. But yeah, okay, so we have our curve, and first things first, we need to resample it. And right now this curve, if I go into edit mode, you'll see that it's just made up of 2 vertices, one here and one here, 2. So this resample curve is going to automatically give it more points, more, I guess more, yeah, just made up of 2 points, and currently, so this is going to give it some more points, and you'll notice as we kind of lower them or raise them, it kind of makes our curve look better. So this is like PS1 graphics. Now it's like PS3. Okay. All right. So we've resampled our curve. So now we can control like how much detail our curve can hold, or kind of, I don't know. We can say how nice we want this curve to be. Okay, that's good. Next, we need to next I need to create. I need to make this kind of spiral. Okay, and so we can do some math to do that. So first things first, let's do set curve tilt, and then I think we want to do a set position, and we want to we need to get to the spline length and the maybe, I think the factor, maybe we need, gosh, I think, okay, so yeah, I'm pretty sure we need to multiply these together. Math, multiply this, multiply that again, plug it into here, set position, normal, and then vector math, and scale. So this might work, this might not work. Oh, it did work, okay. Okay, so I remembered how to do this correctly. So what I've done here by using this set curve tilt and this set position node is kind of created this like spiral looking thing, and then with this scale you can control how big it is. Okay, so currently the scale is like really huge, and if we scale it back down we can kind of see our original curve that we made, and that's kind of what we want. Okay, so we've got this, we've now made our curve kind of a spirally curve, and we can make it you know, like low res, I guess, PS1 graphics, or we can add more samples to it, and it, you know, will look better. Okay, so check the microphone, 1, 2. No one likes my audio, but okay. So now this is controlling like how many spiralies we get, okay, and then this is kind of controlling the radius of our spirals. So that's cool. Yeah, and next we need to use the nice new hair nodes that Blender offers. So hair, and we go to generation, and we go to duplicate hair curves. Okay? And so, if I remember correctly, yeah, it's going to just kind of duplicate our spiral here. And I remember we want to set it to even thickness, and let's see, maybe this is a little weird. Yeah, I'm not sure if I like that setting that high as it was. Okay, so kind of make our radius a little bit lower. You can adjust this distribution setting. It's kind of nice. So this is good already. We've got kind of like this braided curve, and I think I want to kind of make it look a little bit more like that. Alright. So yeah, nice. This is really nice actually already, and we don't even have that many nodes. So basically, and the most confusing part of it, in my opinion, is this little kind of spirally function. And I'm not like a math genius. I just kind of saw somebody else use this setup to create a spiraled curve. And I said, oh, that's going to be nice. So I kind of remembered how to do it. So I'm not like a math genius, again. And so this is nice. So we've duplicated our original curve. Okay. We've just basically imported a curve, added more points to it. We've used some math to make that curve spirally. And then now we're using this duplicate hair curve to just add more spirals to it. So it kind of gives us this braided chord effect, and that's really nice. And so moving on, we want to okay, yeah, this is where it's going to start to take a lot of kind of fine-tuning, but we're going to use this frizz hair curve node, and I'm going to set it to preserve length. And so now this is really cool. This is kind of controlling, you know, it's kind of making these go from being like really nice and coiled to being looking much more like organic, like they're kind of like the threads would exist naturally. And so that's kind of like a nice effect here that we're already seeing, like where this cord is this kind of coiling sort of in front of our eyes. That's nice. And we've got these other settings. The shape we can control, which is really nice. And then you can control the factor of that. So this is already kind of getting to something. And next, I am going to trim. I think it's called trim. Yeah, trim curve. Okay. And so now we can set the end points of this. So we're kind of watching this grow. So that's nice. And then the next thing that we want to do is we want to you got that? Oh yeah. So yeah, we would then curve to mesh. Okay, boom. And then we want to set the profile curve to a curve circle. Okay, and it's going to come in and it's going to be really, really big. So you're going to want to come here to this radius and set it to like 0.01. And so yeah, this is kind of nice, I think. And then this is even nicer, right? Okay, so this is pretty popular effect people try to achieve. And we're already getting it kind of very easily here, procedurally. So, next thing, yeah. Next thing, I want, I don't want the ends of these to be like really open like this. I want them to be kind of like pointy. I want them to come to a point. And so we can set curve radius. Maybe afterwards. Nope, we want to do that before. Okay, and is what we want to do is we want to sample the length of our curve. Okay, and we want to use a color ramp to determine where this kind of gets choked out at. And I think we're initially going to want to flip it. Yes. And so over here, you're already seeing that this is kind of starting out with its full radius. But then as it kind of goes along the length of our spline, it kind of gets choked down to 0. So that's nice. And I believe it's going to respect the so I think we need to set this. So currently what I just noticed as I did this is it's not really respecting see, like currently, if we go in here and look at the end of the curve, my gosh, my settings are all wrong. But you'll notice here that it doesn't come to like a nice fine tipped point like it does when we kind of make our curve completely all the way from start to end. Okay. And so I think that is because we have our set curve radius in the wrong spot. It needs to happen before the trim curve. So let's push this back here and then, no? Okay, not working. Okay, maybe put that there. Separate radius curve and mesh. Oop. Okay, so one maybe. Maybe it needs to be the factor. Okay, I think I had that, yeah. So now I think it's kind of working better because I'm not using the length, I'm using the factor. And I think the length is just going to say, here's the ultimate length of the curve, and we just want to set it from 0, or from 1 to 0. And factor is saying, here is the current length of the curve, and let's set it from 1 to 0. And so factor in this case, in my opinion, is what we would want, because it's visually, it looks better visually, right? We have these curves coming to a finer point, a fine point along the whole length of the animation, as opposed to just coming to a fine point at the end. Okay, so this is cool already. And yeah, again, we're really kind of already getting the effect that we want by just kind of using this one value right here, this trim curve end and start value. So I think this is really cool. And wow, nice. And okay, so let's, what else can we do? We can, you know, I want to make this even more kind of powerful in a procedural manner, okay? And so I want to control kind of like where this is happening, okay? Because I want it to only be occurring kind of at the end of the factor of this spline. And then I also want to add noise to that, and particularly, specifically so I can animate that noise, and then create, let me see if I can go back and reference this, and create, let me see, this kind of effect where all these little curves are kind of, are kind of like tentacling outwards, right? So that's done with noise, and they're animated with noise to give it kind of like an organic look. So they're kind of like, I don't know, kind of moving sort of alien-esque, like it's kind of forming itself, okay? So in order to do that, sorry, OBS, go back to OBS. In order to do that, I'm going to use a piece of geometry to kind of control some of these factors, like for particularly this distance, this shape, and then some other elements that I'm going to add. So, as what I want to do is I want to import an Icosphere. So I want to go to my viewport and hit Shift A, and I want to import an Icosphere, and it doesn't need a whole lot of geometry. Okay, so just with one subdivision, I think it'll be okay. And I'm going to scale it down. And this Icosphere, I want it to be always at the end point of this curve, because I want to kind of create a bunch of noise at the end point of this curve so that these tentacles can kind of move organically. And I'm going to do that by using this shape. So this shape kind of always needs to be set to the end of this curve. and so that I can just still use this one factor. I don't know. In my opinion, motion graphics are, they look really good. You can make them look really good. One way of making them look good is by controlling a lot of different things with just one variable. Okay, and that way I can kind of animate the curve, and everything kind of also follows in line. And what I mean by animate the curve is like the animation curve. And so then everything else will kind of visually respect the speed, and everything will look nice visually. So motion graphics, it's kind of I don't know, the way I approach it. So again, we want this icosphere always at the end of this curve so that we can use the icosphere to offset the ends of the curve. So, and there might be a better way of doing this or thinking about this, but this is just kind of the way I discovered to create this type of visual. So, Icosphere. I will import it into our geometry node setup and turn it off. And I am going to create a join geometry node here so I can see it first off. Oh, wait, it needs to be, it needs to happen here. And, okay, so now we can see the icosphere, okay? And we need it to always be at the end of this curve. So I'm going to come here and set its position, okay? And set position. I think I can maybe sample, let me be sure. Sample curve, okay, so I will take this curve, boom, sample, get its position, which is a vector, and plug this into this, or plug it into the offset, boom, okay, plug it into the offset. And now, by moving this factor, right? Okay, now I'm moving this icosphere along the curve, okay? And it's kind of cool because this factor is just going from 0 to 1, and so is this value here. It's just going from 0 to 1, okay? And so that's neat. Let's use that to our advantage, okay? And how can we use that to our advantage? Well, these are both just going, like I said, from 0 to 1. Ultimately, that's what we want. So I can just kind of create a value node here. And this value node is going to go from 0 to 1, or at least it can. And so I'll just plug this into these things. And then, yeah, now that is going to just kind of, they're going to work together. And I'm just still animating one value. Okay, good. And so we have an icosphere, and it's now kind of, yeah, I don't know, we're using it. And so what else can we do? Okay, so next thing, I want to use the geometry proximity of the icosphere to control the frizz hair curves, and I want to use it to control another set position node that I'm going to create right now. Set position, okay. And so I'm going to now get the geometry proximity of this icosphere in relation to our curve. So I will get the geometry proximity, boom, okay, from the faces, that's fine, and we need the distance of it from the curve, and I will use that to drive some of these things. And so I'm going to want to see some of my curve here first. And I think the first one I want to do is maybe start messing with this distance here. Okay? Because I think that if I'm able to control, like I don't want all this noise happening just starting right here. I want it to always kind of be in relation to this icosphere, right? I want it to go from messy around the icosphere to where once the icosphere starts to move away from certain parts of the curve kind of wraps around and becomes this cable. So it's kind of organically coming together. And so I'm going to use the distance of the faces of this icosphere from the curve itself to control that. And so I'll plug in a map range node so I can kind of have a little bit more control over it. And I'm going to plug that map range node into this frizz hair curve node. And firstly, I'm going to plug it into the distance factor here. And it looks janky, but we can control the mapping of it here. So we want it to kind of just be happening at the end of our curve. And again, this is the part that takes a lot of fine tuning, in my opinion. Okay, and then so it's kind of working. I think I need to do a little bit of math here to get the effect that I want. So I'll bring in a math node, and I'll do a multiply. Okay, and I think that this is going to kind of scale our effect. Maybe give me a little bit more control. Maybe not though. I don't know. This is kind of fucked. Okay, so I'm just going to keep making some progress. So now if you'll see, once I move this, it's not at all doing what I want it to, but we'll get there. So it's not exactly working like I want it to. It's okay though. Keep messing with stuff. Okay, still not working. Oh, that's right. Value. Okay, linear. Oh, ooh, okay. Maybe this is what I want. No. Alright, so, okay, I think one thing I'm going to do here is just go ahead, and so that I can start seeing some of this stuff, is I'm just going to go ahead and create an animation from 0 to 1. So, using this value right here that I've plugged into our trim curve, and I've also plugged it into the Icosphere's position, right? Using that, I'm going to just animate it from 0 to 1. So I'll start out at 0, and I will insert a keyframe with it selected. You can see it in the timeline. And then I'll go to like 140. I'll make this 1, and I'll hit I to insert a keyframe. Okay? And so now we have our curve kind of generating. Alright, and now that I've got to this, I can start to kind of control some of these things, and I will get a better visual as I do that. And so let me check the comments. See, no comments, no one watching. That's encouraging. Um, but that's fine. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? So, okay, is what I'm gonna do is take a 3 or 4 minute break here really quickly, and I'll jump back, and we'll start to fine tune the effect. We'll start to fine tune kind of this distance, okay, and then we'll also start to add a little bit of noise into this the tips of these, okay, and so slowly but surely we will start to achieve a visual that looks a lot like this. And so you can already see how it's kind of coming together. Um, if you can envision, right around here, there is our icosphere. And that icosphere, actually it's probably around here, the icosphere is what's offsetting some of this noise and kind of offsetting some of these curves to kind of look a lot really, kind of organic. Especially here, you'll notice this curve kind of as it generates. It's kind of swooping up and down and left to right. And so it looks really good, in my opinion. And yeah, you are kind of already starting to see how something like that comes together. But I'm going to just take a few minutes and come back. So yeah, I will just put a little bit of a BRB to let y'all know. Be right back, family. Okay, Blender family, I'm back. Sorry. There's probably no one watching though. Anyways, I think a lot of my followers, or what would you call them, subscribers, are not from the United States. So they're all probably asleep. But when you guys wake up, hey, hey. Okay, so we're back at it. I'm in Blender. Gonna erase this stuff. Oops. How do you make the eraser bigger? I always forget. Oh well, okay. So I can probably just Control Z a bunch. Okay. Alright. And so we're in Blender, and we've gotten this far. We've kind of created this setup, and it's all controlled by one value. And currently, this setup is it's a curve. It starts out as a curve. Okay, this starts out as this curve right here. Okay, and then we resample the curve. We give it some more points, and we set the curve tilt. So we use a little bit of math right here with this set curve tilt node and this set position node, and we use that to create a little bit of a spiral here. And you'll notice that I can make it the radius of the spiral bigger. I can tell it to have more spirals. Okay, I'm going to keep it the same. So that's what this little bit of math and these nodes are doing. Okay, and then what do? We duplicate that. We use a duplicate hair node, which is kind of an interesting. I don't know what the devs are doing with Blender. I guess it's kind of weird. So they've given us these hair nodes. That's cool. Can they give us some other stuff? I don't know. Okay, but in this case, I really do like the hair node, what it does. Okay, but so we've duplicated it, and then we frizz it. Okay, it's this, this thing. And then we're trimming that curve. Okay, we're saying, here's the start and the end of that curve, and we are then setting the curve radius, and we're setting the radius by the factor instead of the length. If we set it by the length, then it wouldn't look good, in my opinion. It would just the curves would then come to a point as opposed to always having a point at the end. Okay? So we need to use the factor, and we need to set that factor from 1 to 0 using a curve radius node. Okay? And then we sweep the curve, and then I'm going to set the position of the endpoints here. I'm going to use some noise and some stuff eventually. But what I want to do right now is I want to use this Icosphere's distance. So here we have our Icosphere, and I'm plugging into a geometry proximity node. Okay, so I'm basically taking how close is this Icosphere to the curve, and I'm going to use that to say where the frizz should be occurring. So I'm going to take this distance, and I'm going to plug it into, let me see, the frizz here. And I'm curious, I'm wondering if I need to have, no, that shouldn't be the case. Yeah, so this should work. but I think it just needs to be like mapped better. So this needs to be, okay, here we go. Please make interior design. Could you please increase the microphone volume a bit? Yes, I can. I can do that. Maybe. I'll put the microphone closer to my body. Hello. Is this better? Is this better for the microphone? Okay. I'm trying. Okay, so I want to use the proximity to affect for his hair curves. So I think I'm doing it right. Okay. I guess to make this better, I could just do this. And I think we just need to map it a little bit better. Okay. And maybe. Okay, so maybe it's the factor that I'm should be setting. I'm not sure. Gosh, I'm trying to remember how I did this last time. No. Okay, we're gonna get there. Relative, okay, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. What is going on? It's just not doing it. Distance. Okay, so wonder if I could just do this. No. Why is it not? Okay. Okay, so it's like kind of working, but kind of not. It's pissing me off. So I think it's not. Why? Yuck. Okay, so again, gotta fine tune this boy. Maybe this is not what I want to adjust, and it is instead that. Gosh, I should reference my file, original file, but I wanna figure it out on my own. Oh, I mean, just organically again. So maybe it's the shape. Ooh, okay, so shapes, hit it right. I need to realize. The distance relative. Ooh, I think actually. Oh. I know what's happening. I think. I'm not giving it the right information. Yes. Gosh. Okay, so here's the problem. I was giving it this icosphere, okay? I was saying use this icosphere. But that icosphere wasn't the one that I had positioned along the endpoint of the curve. So I need to take the geometry proximity of that one that is positioned along the endpoint of the curve that's kind of currently moving. And I need to use that value, okay? So that's the value that I need to be mapping. So I will kind of make this a little bit better looking, and now I'm going to kind of map this better. And we should get, at the end, we should get pretty much our effect, mostly. And I'll make it a little bit. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm gonna hit spacebar. Hopefully this works. Maybe. Yeah, we're kind of getting the effect. Okay. I'm going to push it even more. So there it is. Yay. Okay, so very nice. Hey, I wonder how'd you learn all of this? It looks quite complex. I spent about 3 years learning all this from scratch. So when I first started, before that, I knew how to use Blender, and I was a motion graphics designer, so I already knew how to animate, and I already knew how to do some modeling. So I knew how to use Blender. But I didn't know anything about procedural animation. And the more that I got into motion graphics, the more I started to respect what procedural animation is, because it's very powerful. And so and I'm not like a math, I didn't go to, I went to art school, but I did not like do college level math, and I did not do good at math in school. And but I quickly realized to create procedural animations and to create like really great, stunning motion graphics, like you actually have to understand math to a degree, okay? And so how did I learn? I guess I just kind of started to drop nodes in, and I started to mess with values. So I would just, in research, I would watch a lot of videos and what other people are doing, and I'm not very good at all compared to like some of the other people that are out there. But yeah, geometry nodes are actually not that complicated once you have to just kind of practice, and you just have to start messing with them and connecting things. So all of these green nodes are going to be like our big kind of functions, okay? And then all of these other red and blue nodes are going to be kind of like, the red nodes are like things you can sample, okay? And then these blue nodes and these purple nodes are just like math. So I can sample the length, and I can say, hey, take the length, which could be, maybe it's 5 feet long, and I can say multiply that 5 feet by the factor, which maybe is just the current length of the curve, and maybe the current length of that is 2, so 5 by 2, and then, so math. These are just saying increase that effect or decrease that effect. In my opinion, that's kind of how I look at it. But so how did I get good at it? I just literally, I'm not a math person. I'm an artist, and I think I wanted to create better art, and so I kind of just had to figure some of this out. And by no means am I an expert, but I've definitely spent a lot of time in here, and these effects that I've made on my website and some of the other ones that I have in like my files, they've taken a lot of time to make. So by no means does this stuff like happen overnight, but I don't know, it's fun, and it's kind of like doing a crossword puzzle, I guess. It's kind of like challenging, so I enjoy that challenge. But moving on, we are trying to recreate this visual here. And I made this visual a couple months ago. And I think it's a really good visual. I think it's strong. I think this is an effect that is sought after, and it is really useful for a lot of different things. And so here I am, and I'm trying to kind of teach people how to create that effect. And let's review. So we're kind of there. We're basically there. I mean, it's pretty much that effect. Yeah, I mean, I quite like it. I think that there are some other things that I did. And I want to show those. The first was that I used the proximity here. I used it again up here on this set position node. Okay, so what I did is I mixed this with I might have actually just added noise. So noise, texture, okay, and I made it a 4D noise texture, and I probably made the scale really low, and I used the color, and then I hope I then multiplied that by the first off, I probably have to do this. Normalize this noise, so vector math, and add or subtract 0.5 or minus 0.5. So that's normalized to that. I think that I had to do that. Maybe we'll see. And so I'm taking the distance of this icosphere that we can't really see right now. I guess we could if I did this. Let's so here's that icosphere, and it's controlling this frizz, so that's cool. But I also want to do some more with it, and there might be a couple ways of doing this. We'll see. So I have this noise texture normalized, and then I plug it into here. Let's see what we get. So not what offset. not what I want. Oh, and it's also because of this. So I need to get a vector math. Vector math, okay? And we're going to multiply these two. Okay, so I'm starting to realize one thing. So 1, 2, 0. I gotta fix the mapping because I only want it happening kind of at the end. Okay, and so we can kind of see here where that's occurring, that kind of noise. And I don't think that is, let's see. Yeah, so I actually then wanted to multiply it by the normal. But all of this is occurring after we put the curve to mesh. So I want to move this to here and then sweep it. Okay, and then now here's one thing that I think might be cool is to, so see, I've got this kind of noise here now, and it's controlling the tips. If you'll see here, I've got this noise, and if I kind of mess with the scale and stuff here, it's kind of it's affecting the tips here, and so I can mess with that a little bit more. I can get a little bit more a larger area that we're affecting. So there we go. Now I've got a little bit of a larger area. Okay. And so now I can get a little bit more like movement occurring here around this icosphere. And I just think that's really neat. So we can add scene time to this if we wanted, and it will kind of do it automatically. Maybe add a little bit of math in here. Math, divide this, and we can kind of slow it down a bit. And but in my opinion, that adds some secondary coolness to the effect. And maybe it should be a little bit smaller. Maybe, I'm not even actually sure. Maybe it doesn't even need no. Oh, it does need normalized. Okay. So yeah, maybe you could vector math onto this normal, scale it up, and kind of get an even different, larger effect there. That's neat. So that's one way, I guess. You could just allow it to be, I guess, like that, and it doesn't look so bad. Let's see what we got. I do think that we're getting this kind of like really, really like hard edge. You can kind of see it, like the fall off of this map range is really tight. So maybe we can come here and say like smooth that out, and then maybe adjust some of these parameters to make it a little bit smoother. And so this is actually we probably should use this one. This is the gist, like the most of the effect. Like I think that there are a couple things wrong with here. I'm not sure. maybe this just needs to be set to add ultimately, and then I scale it down. I don't know. But keep messing with it. I think that you might be able to actually just use this geometry proximity and like add it to no, actually add some noise. I think you might be able to add noise. Let me duplicate this back here instead, and you might not even then need this. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So you can add some variation into that here if you wanted, and then you could probably add oops, multiply this and grow that effect even more. Oh, nope, not working. So let's see, multiply this. Sort of getting there. I don't know. Oh, and then maybe you could then even use this. Oh, now we're getting crazy. So we might be able to do a math and then divide. Or no, this needs to be divide. And then use this position again to drive that. So you could probably get even more craziness out of it if you wanted. So some options, I guess. But I think I kind of like this other one here where we're kind of putting it at the end using this set position. Maybe. What the fuck? Yeah. Okay, what happened? Distance. No, get that out of there. So there. Like I said, this is the majority, like pretty much the effect. You know, make your curve longer and adjust all your settings. But this is, again, I think it's really cool. Because it's a really nice kind of coiled cable effect. And you kind of get to watch it be created in real time. So let me get rid of this Icosphere. And maybe get like a cool front on view. Okay. And then I will also show at the end here we can do like a curve, if I can remember what it is. It's a curve topology operations. Let me see. It's actually it could be hair. Curve info. I think it's this. And so let's go back here and let's store an attribute. And I want to store this random value. So it's a float. And I'm going to just call this test1. And now I'm going to also set a material, okay? And I'll create a material. And I'll just make it orange really quick, or red, just to see visually. So now we've got this red material, okay? Okay, so I will kind of open up a shader window. I'll go to shader editor, okay? And I'm going to use this attribute, this store named attribute that is storing some random float value about this curve. So I'm going to come to my shader editor and I'm going to type in named, no. So why is it called named attribute here in geometry nodes, and then it's just called attribute? I don't know. Anyways, you're going to want to open up an attribute node in your shader editor, and we want to use this attribute that we've stored, which I'm calling test, but is actually just, I guess, a random value. Well, I guess. Okay, anyways. Yeah, I don't know. So let me see if this works. Even if this makes sense, I guess I could just say. No, yeah, this makes sense. So this. Okay, and so now I will get a. I'm not sure if it's going to be instant. So let me do a color ramp. And I'm just going to make a bunch of stops on it. And I'll assign kind of random colors to it. And I'm going to plug this test1 attribute that we've created. I'm going to plug that in there, and I'm going to see it not work. And I think that's maybe because this needs to be instances. No. Object? No. Geometry? Okay. All right, we'll get there. Face corner. Maybe this needs to be set to spline. Instance. And then this needs to be set to. No? Okay. Random. What is this last? Oh, why is it called? This needs to be test. And then we'll get there. Oh, okay. Maybe this is working now. know it's just fucking one of these boys. Spline. Okay, probably needs to happen back here. Curve radius. How did I do this last time? Okay, gosh. Okay, so random float value, set to point. These need to be constant. Boom. Okay, so you need to store curve info. You need to store random curve information, okay? And you need to store it as a point. And then you need to name it. And then you need to bring that attribute into your shader editor. And then you create a color ramp in between your principled BSDF and this attribute you've created. And you just set some color stops. And that allows you to kind of get different colors to these chords. So if we wanted, this could look like what are those chords that we always used to mess with when I was a young man? It was the RVG something. What was it? It was maybe was it blue? Did it have a blue one on it? Oh, it had a red. That's what it was. So yeah, we've recreated it basically, in my opinion. We have recreated this effect that, hello, will you save this live? Yeah. So let me go back here. Okay. Here's this nice effect that I created a couple months ago. Okay. And then here today is a very similar visual that we've created. And the cool thing about this, again, is it's all based off of one curve, okay? So I can come in here and I can adjust this curve, right? And I can say, be different, right? I can add another point into this curve, and I can say, kind of come, sorry, I can say, I don't know even know where I made that point. I can say subdivide, maybe. Where is this point that I just made? There. Okay, here's this other point, and I can kind of manipulate this in real time, which I think is really cool, all right? And I can manipulate it to be where I want it to be. I can say, hey, have way more chords, right? Have a lot more chords. That's nice. I can add more colors. I can come in here and say, hey, I also want green in there. Okay, that's nice. I can control the radius still if I wanted to. Make it bigger, smaller, random, more random, I believe, one of these values. So this is the power of proceduralism, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not the first person to like come across to that, but this is just a really powerful workflow. And you'll notice that all I have to do, all we've done is animate one value right here. This is one value that we've animated on our timeline. We've set it from 0 to 1. And yeah, that's really powerful. So you can come back here to our initial like spiral that we created, and we can say, hey, be more spirally. What's this look like animated? Maybe it looks cool. Maybe it, yeah, wow, that looks really cool. And then we can say have more spirals, or we can say have less spirals. Yeah. Or sorry, we can say we already said how many spirals to have, but we can say how big this for this the radius of our spirals to be. That's something. So yeah, just super duper controllable, and this is just a very powerful way of working, and hopefully you learned something. I kind of learned something myself. I figured out how I made this. Sometimes with geometry nodes, when you're making these setups, I can't remember all the things that I did. It's a lot of nodes, but I can remember the gist of it, right? Like I know that one, I didn't animate a ton of things. I kind of kept it simple, and I made sure that I'm only animating one value. And then I just kind of, reverse engineered that visual that I created originally, just thinking about these main green nodes. These are the big things that are occurring. So we're taking our initial curve, okay, right here, and I can come in here and I can adjust it however I want, right? I can say, be different, be like that instead. Okay, so we're taking our initial curve, and we are then saying, hey, have more points. Okay, right now I'm just saying, hey, it only has 1 point. Now it has 2 points, start and finish, right? The more points we add, the more detail we can attribute to the curve, okay? So add more points, you can have finer detail, okay? And then we've created a spiral. We've turned this curve here, and we've said, hey, kind of make it spiral as it does, as it respects that initial path. And that's what we've done using these nodes. Okay? And then as we go along, we've taken that curve that we've made spirally, and we've just added a lot of other curves to it using this duplicate hair curve node. And then we've frizzed the endpoints of that curve. But we've done it based on the proximity of this icosphere's geometry, of its faces. We've also taken that icosphere and we placed it along the curve so that we can use its proximity to frizz these hair curves. We've then trimmed curves. We've added a trim curve node that we are animating from 0 to 1 But we've also used that value, that animation from 0 to 1, to position our icosphere along the curve. And we're using its position in relation to the curve to frizz these hair curves. Okay? And then we're storing some data. What are we storing? We're attributing what I think we're doing. We're attributing a value to each of these curves. And then we're storing it. And we're just kind of saying randomly which curve is which value. And then we're storing that value. And we're storing it under the name test. Okay? And then we're setting the curve radius. And we're telling, hey, Blender, make sure no matter what you do when you go ahead and skin this curve, make sure that when it's skinned that you are determining its radius by the factor. We could say use the length, but it's just going to take its overall length. If we use the factor, it's going to take its current length, essentially. So it'll be its current length based upon the trim curve, okay? So it's going to respect that. And then next, we're sweeping that curve. We're giving it mesh. Okay? And we're doing it with a curve circle. And one thing that I've found out, or just, I guess realized as I render this and manipulate it more and stuff, is that this curve circle that we're sweeping these lines with has a resolution of 32. And you don't really need that much, in my opinion. You can optimize this. Maybe make it 14. Maybe even make it 10. I don't know if that you'll notice a whole lot of a difference. Okay? And that's just going to make this run a lot faster. And then we've set a material. We've said, hey, Blender, use this material. And we don't even need this anymore. I just was using that to, I was using the join geometry node. Oops. Where did it even go? I was using this to visualize the icosphere that, to visualize this icosphere. That's at the end of our curve, okay? So that icosphere is what is kind of driving it all. What else? I don't know. Just fun. I think I messed it up a little bit from what it was. But yeah, you guys get the points, I guess, hopefully. I think this is what I messed up. Oh well, it did look good. You guys saw it. And anyways, that's the stream. That's the thing. We made the thing. We made mono sound. See, everyone hates my volume. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get new microphone. I'm moving offices. I'm gonna get a new microphone. I'm sorry. Please stay with me. But this is the effect. So if you add some kind of nice camera work or something, create a nice backdrop. This is it rendered in Eevee as well. So kind of cool. But yeah, again, I apologize for my audio not being the greatest. I'm going to be getting I'm moving into a new office actually. And that new office is going to have much better equipment, like recording equipment. And so that's exciting. And I hope you all bear with me. And I hope you all enjoyed today's stream. Maybe give me some hearts, some likes, say nice job. But yes, thank you guys so much. And again, I'm going to get a microphone, a better one. So I'm very sorry. Have a good day.